And you can see once it's activated, we get the additional kind of SEO tab here on the admin sidebar. We also get prompted here to help improve WordPress SEO. This is completely your choice. What this is, it just it allows the developers of this plugin to gather statistics about your website, your WordPress installation, to help them with any bugs or sorting out any issues that may crop up in future. I personally don't worry about that, so don't allow tracking. Okay, so we've got that activated, and we can go to our dashboard. Now you can see when you first enter your dashboard, you get prompted just to kind of register with them to subscribe to their updates. I'm already subscribed, so I'm not going to bother doing that. If you want to, just type in your details there. Now, because this is a clean installation of WordPress, you'll see that it's already checked my permalink structure. The permalink structure, if you haven't set it up, by default will be, when you create a post, it will be kind of your domain name / question mark / and then the post ID, so it'll just be some random numbers. Now, it's telling me here that it recommends I set it as a post name. That's what I do on every site that I operate. It's only telling me that on this site because, like I say, it's a demo site that I've not actually configured. So I'm going to go ahead and ignore that for the time being. Now the reason I'm going to ignore that is because I'm now going to flip over to my live site. So you'll see here that I've got it open in another tab, and this is not my demo site now, this is my actual personal blog site. So any changes here are actually happening live on my site right now. So this is the dashboard, and you'll see a couple of information kind of snippets at the top here. You can take a tour of the plugin, which I recommend you do. If you're not familiar with this plugin, it can help you just kind of make your way around it a little bit better. Hopefully though, I'm going to cover most of it in this video for you. And obviously reset default settings, we don't need to worry about that because we're just setting it up for the first time. So here's the tracking tick box that it prompted you for earlier. If you change your mind, you can either untick or tick it. Now we'll move on to security. Now this is ticked by default, if I remember rightly. Disable the advanced part of the WordPress SEO meta box. Now the WordPress SEO meta box is an additional kind of admin panel or meta box on each page and post admin section. So when you're creating a post, you have a little bit of extra info at the bottom where you can manually type in your meta descriptions, things like that. There's an advanced part of that which allows you to sort out your post redirects, no index, things like that. I personally disable that advanced part because I don't change those on a regular basis. I don't set them on a post by post basis. Not many people do, so that's up to you whether you disable it or not. I do personally. So we'll move on to Webmaster Tools. Now this is straightforward, and you only need to do it if you haven't already verified your website with these services. So when I first started this website, I hadn't verified my Webmaster Tools account, so I took the meta tag that Google Webmaster Tools gives you for site verification, and I just pasted it in here. And then WordPress SEO plugin does the rest for me. And again, the same applies for Bing and Alexa. I haven't got around to doing those yet. I kind of must do those in future. So save any settings that you've made there with just a simple click. And we can move on to titles and metas. So you can see across the top we have a few different tabs. We'll start with General. So force rewrite titles, I leave empty. WordPress SEO, the plugin actually also detects whether you need that or not. Most sites wouldn't need that. Leave it kind of unticked. Then we have our site-wide meta settings. So the first one is no index subpages of archives. Now I tick this. I don't want my archives indexed by Google or other search engines. There is a reason for that. When somebody is searching for information on Google, if they come across one of my pages in the results, what I don't want is them to come across page 7 of my archives, because all that's going to do is going to take them to a list of posts. They're not after a list of posts. They're after a specific post within that list. So if they just hit a page with a list of posts, they're not going to be interested. They're going to, jump straight back off the site into the Google listings. It's not helpful. So what this does, it allows the search engines to crawl your archive page 1. So it knows that there is an archive, but it doesn't actually go any deeper. So yeah, we don't index those. Use meta keyword tags. I'll just read this out. To be honest, I don't know why you'd want to use meta keywords, but if you do, check this box. Nobody has used meta keywords, properly since, I don't know, the 90s maybe. It's an old thing now. Don't bother with it. They don't really serve any purpose anymore. And then we have add no ODP and add no YDIR. Now they're pretty much the same thing. What this is the ODP is the Open Directory project. You can see here it uses DMOS descriptions. So what this was is when a search engine crawls your website, it takes the title and the description and all this good stuff from the meta tags, and it kind of puts it, put it away in the Open Directory project. Now that's really good because it can go back and reference them for future. But what can happen is that in future, if say you buy an old domain name off somebody else and you start using that domain name, what can happen is the search engine sees that domain name and it goes back to the ODP and it says, oh right, here's the site metadata for it. So here's the title that we'll use and here's the description that we'll use. The problem is that's no longer relevant because that domain name is now in your hands and you've changed it. So what this does, it stops the search engines going back to that directory, and it kind of forces it to use the titles and meta descriptions that we're going to set up in a minute. So the no YDIR is exactly the same. It was Yahoo's own version of it. So we'll tick those. And then clean up the head. I leave all these unchecked. I have come across people that check them all. I'm personally not convinced that they do a great deal in terms of performance or site load times or anything like that. So I leave them unchecked. So save any settings that you've just made and make your way over to the Home tab. Now this is where we start getting into the kind of classic SEO, if you like, typing things and getting your keywords sorted. So we'll start off with homepage. You can see here we've got the title template. Now your title is the text that shows up in the browser, and you can see here, so this title is WordPress SEO configuration, this one is title and metas, and you can see here that this title is the title now currently of my live site that we're editing. And you can see it's blah blah sep, which is the separator, this little vertical line, and then my site name, which is barryjarvis.com. Now you may be wondering what the hell these are. These are dynamic tags that WordPress SEO plugin actually provides for you. And if you click on help, which I've actually opened in a separate tab, you can see that they're all here as a big list with a description of what they are. So site name is the site's name. Yeah, really straightforward. and you have ones for date, the author name, there's various different ones you can use. So if we go back, I've put blah blah here. Obviously I don't use that. I've just put that to show that you can kind of hard code or type in your own text. You could have any text you want, and then you can also mix it in with these dynamic tags. So what I actually use in real life is site description. Now obviously I know that off the top of my head, but you can go here and we've got site description, and you can copy it and then go over and paste it in. So if I just quickly save those settings, so I've changed it from blah blah to site description to the dynamic tag. And if I go to my live site, keep an eye on the title here. I'll refresh, and you can see now that it's actually using my site description, which is this consumer technology and web development blog. So now I've got keywords within my title, and you can see that if we just hover over it, there's the full title there. Okay, so you can, as I say, do whatever you want there. I do recommend using the site description and the site name though. That information is actually pulled from the default WordPress settings that are set up in the general settings. So when you go into general, it asks you for your site name and your site tagline or description. So it's those settings there. You'll also notice that I use this description first rather than the site name. There is a reason for that. If you take a look at this here, if I used my site name first, all you would see in the title is barryjarvis.com, then the separator, and then consumer technology and web development blog. Now, I want my keywords first. I want people to know what it is, just at a glance. I don't want them to have to hover over it like this and, kind of wait until it fully pops up. So we want our keywords first, yeah? So we use our description first. Okay. So meta description template. This is the meta description that search engines use. So here we want some keywords about the site. So I've hand typed in a few different things: WordPress tutorials, Raspberry Pi projects, social media guides, and more. Yeah, and then I've got a little dash, my site description, which is the same tag here, dash my site name. Okay, so I can show you how that actually renders out on the page. If I go to view page source, the search engine sees my meta description, which is here, line 24, and you can see it there. Raspberry Pi project, social media guides and more, consumer technology, web development blog, barryjarvis.com. Okay, so that allows us to change that. So that's our homepage setup for our meta description and title. Now we also have author metadata. Now what this is Google have been doing some, since their launch of Google Plus, have really put a priority, if you like, on the rel author tag. So what it does is this allows you to link your Google Plus account, which I recommend you set up just purely for this if you don't have one. It allows you to link your Google Plus account with your WordPress site. So we do, you choose your author, and what you do, you put your Google Plus profile link in your profile page. So go to users and your profile. So I'll put your link to your Google Plus profile there, and it will automatically, and you would have seen it on other search results, where if you search for anything really, you'll see that some of the results have almost like a priority spot almost. They have a picture next to them of the author, and they have a little bit more information about the author's name, things like this. And that's this rel author tag, and it pulls that information from your Google Plus account. So for me, when I'm searching for something, it draws my eye to those results, and it kind of makes me want to click those results first, because I don't know, having that picture there of the author and a little bit more information, it kind of instills trust into that user, so they're more inclined to click on that link. So definitely set that up. Okay, and then we hit save, and then we can move on to our post types. So the post types are very similar to the home settings that we've just set up. Slightly different tags. We can check our tags out here again. We're using title this time, so this replaced with the title of the post or page. So we're on our posts, so we use title, separator, site name. So if I have a post called WordPress SEO tutorial, it will show here as WordPress SEO tutorial, little vertical line as a separator, barryjarvis.com. Really simple. I actually leave the meta description template blank in these because I set these on a post by post basis, which I'll show you later. We have a couple of tick boxes. The meta robots, so the search engines, we want them to index and follow these, so we leave that. And I actually I check date in snippet preview. Now, this again is a little personal preference of mine. If I'm searching for things and I've got a list of results in Google, I am again more inclined to click the results with the date. Some results show a date of that post or page, and some don't. My first thing is to look for results with dates, because if I'm searching for, let's say I'm searching for WordPress SEO tutorial, I don't want to find a result that's from 2008. It's out of date. So I at least want to be looking for something from kind of late 2012. So having the date there, allows me to see whether the result I'm going to click on is going to be any good or not. So it's a personal preference of mine. I have it ticked. I set it up exactly the same way for pages, and then exactly the same way for media. So your media is your photos, videos, things like that. One extra little checkbox I didn't mention, sorry, is the WordPress SEO meta box. We don't want to hide that, because that allows us to set this up for each post and each page separately. Okay, so once you've made your changes there, save your settings, move over onto taxonomies. So your taxonomies are your various other sections of WordPress, your categories, your tags, etc. And I set these up again fairly similar. This time rather than kind of just title, it's called term title. So we use term title, separator, site name. So if I've got a category called WordPress tutorials, this will show up in the title, WordPress tutorials, my little separator bar, and then barryjarvis.com. Now I do fill my meta description template in this time, and we're using dynamic tags again. So this time we'll use the term description, the separator, and the site name. Now the term description is when you set up a category, it asks you for a brief description of that category. That is filled in here. Okay, so that's where it pulls it from. Same for the tags. Okay. Meta robots, we want to follow the categories. That's my setting. I let it index the categories. I don't hide the meta box just in case for each, for some of the categories I want to override these and set them individually. And then for the tags, I actually no index these, because similar to the archives, especially if you're a one-author blog, like the archives, just pull up a list of posts where it looks just like your homepage. The tags will do as well. Now, if you use tags correctly, you're tagging a post, and you tag all your posts for WordPress tutorials with the tag WordPress or WordPress tutorials. It makes sense to you. But to search engines, all it sees is a list of posts yeah, with that tag for WordPress tutorials, that it's already seen on your website on this front page. So it can look, again, it can look like duplicate content. So we don't do tags, we no index those. Okay, and the same for format. One thing to note is by default, if I remember rightly, this has the term in here, it uses the phrase archive and then page. So your title would actually show your category name, then archive page 2 or page 3 or whichever page it's on. I remove those because if I ever see archive in a URL or a page title or something like that, it makes me think automatically that I'm looking at old content. I don't want to be looking at old content. I want fresh content. So if I don't see the word archive, you know, it's like a little mental trick that the brain plays on you. So I remove that, and I think it does the same in tags as well, if I remember rightly. So it's your choice, but I remove it. So move on, save your settings, and go to Other. So here we have author archives, date archives, and special pages. Your author archives, you can set these up if you want. Basically, this would read the author name, and then it kind of a comma, and author at maryjarvis.com. Yeah. I don't bother with these. I disable the author archives. It gives you a good enough description here, you know, why I personally disable them. I'm a one author blog, so you know the author archive is just me. So it's, you may as well just go and view my homepage and go through the list of posts because it's the same thing. Okay, so I disable that. If you're a one author blog, get rid of it, don't use it. And the date archives, again, as I mentioned earlier, archives look like duplicate content, especially, you know, if you're a one author blog, as it says here. It's very much the same thing for date-based archives. It's just going to be a duplicate kind of list of posts from your front page. There's no point in having it. So disable that, and we also no index that. And then special pages, these are your search pages and your 404. So your 404 is the error page that you get from your browser when a page has been landed on that couldn't be found. So we leave that as page not found, separator, site name. The search page I've changed ever so slightly. I think it has a slightly different string of text to start with as default. So I put search results for and the search phrase. Yeah. So up in the title, if I search for something on my site, it would say search results for search phrase, so WordPress tutorials or whatever. So we save our settings, and that's it. The other, like I said, the other tab is help, which is this list of tags here. So I'm going to close that down. We don't need that anymore. And that is mostly your SEO done. Now we're going to move on. So social. Now, this is just a one-page kind of setting here, which is Facebook Open Graph. It starts off with. Now, if you're not familiar with Facebook Open Graph, that is obviously a service from Facebook that allows Facebook and actually other networks as well. Google Plus actually uses part of it, and so does Twitter. That it allows those networks to pull information from your site when people share your site on their networks. So we tick Add Open Graph metadata. This puts a little bit of code into your header of your site, so that when somebody goes onto Facebook and types, hey, check out this cool website I found, and they put in your URL to your homepage, it pulls in some information. And the information is actually set here. So it pulls in a description, which we can set using the tags. So I use the same description as my homepage, if you remember, the site description, the separator, and the site name. And then it also pulls in, you can give it default images to pull in as well. So I don't actually have a site logo at the moment. If you do, pop it in there. Put the URL to your logo in there. And when somebody shares your URL on Facebook, it will automatically populate it with that image and with that description. Okay? And then this image URL here is for the post and pages. So if somebody shares an individual post rather than your overall site, so your domain name, it will actually pull in this image if there aren't any images set in that post. Okay, so if you create a post without any images, it uses this image here that you set here. So I'd recommend that you just set it to the same kind of URL here, your standard site logo. Okay, so that's Facebook. And then we've got Twitter. Twitter's even easier. We just tick add Twitter card metadata, and then we type in our site Twitter name. Now, I don't have a separate site Twitter account to my personal Twitter account, so I just use the same one. So I'm at Barry Jarvis, so I just use Barry Jarvis. Yeah. Okay, so that's the kind of the integration sorted out. One extra thing we've got here is Facebook Insights. Now, Insights is kind of like Facebook's version of Google Analytics, where it gives you traffic information. But Insights is traffic information from Facebook. So it gives you all the kind of how many people have shared things from your site on Facebook and how many visitors that generated. It gives you your overall engagement. So if I share this video, for example, on Facebook once it's completed, and people click through onto my site from it, I can see that in Facebook, in Facebook Insights. So all I need to do is, now I can't really remember the standard button you get here. I think if I remember rightly, it's Add Facebook Admin or something like that. And you click that, you choose yourself as the admin person, and it will fire you through to Facebook just to confirm a couple of things. It's like any other Facebook integration. It's really simple. Just follow the on-screen prompts. So then once you've done that, you can save your settings, and that's your social side of your SEO set up. And we can move on to sitemaps. Now, your sitemaps is essential. This is, if you don't have a Google Webmaster Tools account, you should have already. I've mentioned it once in this tutorial. So get yourself signed up to Google Webmaster Tools, and you'll need to check this box to enable your XML sitemap. And when you check that box, you can hit XML sitemap. And you take, what it does, it generates the sitemap for your website, your posts, your pages, and your categories. And you can take that URL there, copy it, and then go over to Webmaster Tools, and there's an option to submit sitemap. You hit that button and paste in that URL. Hit OK, and that then prompts Google to start crawling those sitemaps. And it makes it much easier and much quicker for the search engines to crawl your site. Okay. Now, there are a couple of extra options. After content, it's the general settings. After content publication, the plugin automatically tells Google and Bing that you've just published something new. So there's the two main ones. We also ping Yahoo and Ask. Why not? If you can get extra hits from those search engines, can't say I know many people that use Ask anymore, but if it helps, get them ticked. You also have the option of including post types that you don't want to include in your sitemap. I'm not sure why you would want to, why you'd want to exclude any certain post types. Perhaps if you're using a web store, like an e-store plugin, you would want to exclude that post type, because most e-store plugins use a custom post type. So you may want to exclude that because all the products may be similar, or and it just generates too much information perhaps. And then you can also exclude taxonomies. I exclude tags for the pretty much the same reason that we no index them. Okay, so that's your XML, save settings, and that's the sitemap stuff. And then we can move on to permalinks. Permalinks are the URLs that you will see in the address bar of your browser up here. Now, if you remember back to the start of this video, when we first activated the plugin, it warned me that my permalink structure wasn't set up properly, if you like. By default, WordPress uses a real SEO unfriendly version of URLs, really ugly version. And what it does, it uses the domain name slash the post ID. So a post might look like barryjarvis.com slash question mark p equals 1345. You know, that's no good to anybody. So what we're doing here with permalinks, combined with our settings in the main overall settings of WordPress, you can actually go settings permalinks here. I'll show you this briefly. I choose post name. Okay, so my permalinks, my URLs will look like this. Yeah, that's the default. Okay, and then I choose post name. Some people like to have the date in their URL. I'm not really fussed on that. So I choose post name, hit save changes, and if we go back to our SEO permalinks in the plugin, so we strip the category base. Now, even though we've just selected our permalink structure, WordPress injects the category, if you like. So it will say barryjarvis.com slash category slash post name. So we take that out. Okay. We also enforce the trailing slash on all category and tag URLs. So we tick this. Now what this does is if you are linking to the directly to the category, so if I've got a category called WordPress tutorials, the search engines will find that, and if I don't enforce the trailing slash, they can find variations on it. So they might find barryjarvis.com slash WordPress tutorials or barryjarvis.com slash WordPress tutorials and then an additional slash on the end. And it kind of confuses them a little bit. They're not sure whether it's duplicate content, they don't really know which one to serve up. So we enforce the trailing slash, just to kind of tidy things up a little bit. What we also do is redirect attachment URLs to parent post URL. Now attachments will be things like images, for example. So if you put an image in your post, that gets indexed just like your text does in Google. And Google, as we all know, has its images search. So let's say you've got a post about, I don't know, a nice photo frame that you've just bought, and you've put a picture of that photo frame. Okay, and somebody searches Google for photo frames, and your picture comes up. If you don't redirect the attachment URL, it will just serve them up the picture. If you do redirect them, it will serve them up the post that the picture is in. So they get to see the picture, but they also get to see the content that goes along with it. So we use that. Now the reply to com variable, you can leave that unchecked. It improves, it tells you here in the description, it can improve the crawl efficiency and the speed, but it can cause issues with users and their JavaScript settings. So it's best to leave that unchecked unless you're running like a huge site, and you're seeing errors with your crawling or things like that. So leave that unchecked. And then redirect ugly URLs to clean permalinks. Leave that unchecked. You can read for yourself there what it actually does. sometimes, well, let's say, people make mistakes in their links towards you sometimes, or unwanted parameters are added to the end of your URLs. So let's say somebody, grabs your link, and by mistake they add, something on the end of it, or it's a typo or something like that. This tries to redirect them, but it doesn't catch everything. So it's kind of best to leave that unchecked. And then your canonical settings, leave them as default as well. And then we can go to save settings. Now the rest, that's pretty much this plugin done. There are a few other options that I will cover briefly, but I don't use. So your internal links settings here are for breadcrumbs. Now breadcrumbs are a kind of a personal preference, whether you want to use them or not. They can be good for SEO. I'm not fully convinced, how good they are. I'm by no means an SEO kind of master, but I've had a bit of experience with it. So you can enable breadcrumbs here if you want. I don't bother with it. Breadcrumbs, if you're wondering, if you're not familiar with them, are if you go to your a home page on a website, you'll have, for example, this is the post name, and then underneath you'll have home, the category, and then a little separator, and then the post that you're on. Okay, and it gives you an easy way to navigate back through the site. Now, the supposed advantage for SEO is that it also gives the search engines an easy way to navigate through your site. I'm of the opinion that the sitemaps are a good enough kind of direction, for the crawlers, for the search engines. I'm not, like I said, I'm not convinced on breadcrumbs. So that's a personal thing for you to choose whether you want them or not. Just to make you aware, if you do have breadcrumbs enabled, you will need to insert this code into your theme manually. There is, if you click that link there, it does take you to a little bit of a guide on how to do that. Okay, so RSS. Every WordPress site generates an RSS feed. Now you can kind of automatically inject content into your RSS feeds, so you can add links back to your site, for example. So if what you tend to find sometimes is that websites will tap into your RSS feed to populate their website. So it will automatically, when you publish a new post, there are websites around that will take that post and almost try and pass it off as their own content. What you can do here is insert some kind of tags here to help with that. So you can see the default, this is actually a default setting, so you should be seeing it as well on a fresh install. The post link appeared first on blog link. Okay, so we've got our tags here, post link, which is a link to your post, yeah, and then blog link, and a link to your site. You can manually change that if you want. Now that is content after each post, or you can put it before each post in the feed. Yeah, you can also use HTML here as well. So that's quite neat. If you find that your content is getting used elsewhere, you can redirect their visitors to your site. It's not an automatic redirect, but you can kind of prompt them to say, hey, look over